Hello, my beautiful cuddlebugs. Welcome to Ramblings of a Book Dragon, where we dive into the warmth of good books and unravel stories that feel like a literary hug. I'm Allie, your host, and I'm thrilled to embark on another cozy adventure with you. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, find your best reading nook, and let's begin. Before we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so that you won't miss a single podcast episode. I really value your feedback and book recommendations. Now let's begin with today's episode. I thought I would go and discuss A Spanish Love Deception, which was actually a Goodreads Choice Award recipient, nominee for Best Romance 2021. And honestly, the book was just okay. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. We follow a woman named Catalina Martin who is needing a date for her sister's wedding in Spain because her ex is the best man and has announced his engagement. Her co-worker of a year in Blackford has graciously offered to be her pretend boyfriend. They work at an engineering consulting firm in NYC, and basically ever since she's known him, he's been a real jerk to her. Like, he's been very much of that, like, I'm going to remember exactly this one thing that you did and remind you of it all the time. Like, she was late one time. Upper manager's named Gerald. He volunteers Catalina to organize and run this open day event, which includes getting all of these different people from other areas to come in and organize food, just organize everything. And she's one of the team leads, and he tells her that she's going to do this during a meeting with the other team leads. And at first she's trying to brush it off and say, no, I'm not qualified to do this. I don't have the experience. And instead of understanding this, Gerald decides to go with a very sexist trope of, you're a pretty bubbly girl, you're a woman, you're supposed to be able to do this. And does anyone ever actually step up and say anything about it? Of course not, because why should they? And it just really bothered me with the fact that the author doesn't even say at first that there's an HR, but I was figuring that there was an HR firm, and she just kind of, like, she's upset about it, but she's not really angry at the other men, or there's no conversation that happens where she goes to any of these guys and says, hey, let's go to HR about this. Like, this is going to be a spoiler-filled episode, naturally, because this book kind of really rubbed me the wrong way. And we find out near the end of the book, and sort of at the beginning as well, that this Gerald, she views him as untouchable because he's friends with higher ups. He has a lot of friends in high places, including HR and everything. And he's just a real sexist piece of work. And it just, like, I see what the author was doing. It was kind of a way to catapult her into being more brave and to see that, oh, actually people in the office really do like her and blah, 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 blah. It's just, I don't know. And then what was interesting to me was I was kind of looking at some of the other reviews, and there were people that were complaining about Catalina's personality traits and what was going on with Aaron as well, because we're expected to believe that this entire time that he's ever known her, he's liked her, and because of this one incident that happened, neither of them have ever really had a conversation ever since about that day or anything. It's just, he is instantaneous enemy numero uno. And he even volunteers at the beginning of the book to be her date. And she, like, there's no real preamble to this of explaining how he heard about it. Did she ask him before? It was just, I'm going to be your date. And Catalina is a stubborn hard ass and is like, no, I don't want you to be my date. I'm going to find someone else, anyone else. And he just this is the other thing I didn't like about this book, is he just kind of steamrolls over her. Like, the whole thing with planning this event, she's very stubborn, and she's starting to look into planning this event, and then Aaron waltzes into her office and it's late at night, and then there's this whole issue with her not really eating a lot because she's wanting to lose weight for her sister's wedding, and he's basically steamrolling over her to say, I'm going to help you with this because you're being stubborn. I don't care what you say, I'm going to help you with this. And like he just ignores her nose with this. And then later on, there's this really bad storm that's happening, and she didn't bring an umbrella, so she's soaking wet. And Aaron naturally has a car in New York City, and he stops in front of the office and tells her, "Get in, I'm taking you home." Even though she's saying, "No, you don't have to take me home. I'm going to walk. I'm going to take the subway or something." And he is practically threatening to drag her into the car. Like, we're expected to believe that this is supposed to be like like I guess looking back, we're expected to believe that this was a romantic situation where he's trying to help her. It made me very uncomfortable. Like, I don't know what was going on with the rest of this, but it's like, what the heck is going on with this? And then we find out later on when they're in Spain that he's basically been in love with her. Like, he goes from being this real piece of work and this dingbat to following her around like a puppy dog, and he has this puppy dog stare to her, and he's all in love with her and stuff. And it's just, I don't like this what he's saying to her, like when they finally have sex. Like, there's this one great big spice scene, and he just starts calling her baby and stuff, and is like, it just seems like there was this switch that happened with everything. And I don't know, I feel like if it seems like this book was two kind of plot points that it seemed like this day event thing was it sounded like I would have expected that bit to be kind of the bigger thing that was going on, but instead it's the whole thing with the going to the wedding and being the date and stuff, which makes sense given the name of the book and everything. But it just seemed like there were two book ideas, and then it just went entirely into the wedding. Like, there's no talking about planning this event or anything like that. Like, it's this wedding is supposed to take 3 days, and then they're supposed to go back. I don't know. There's just a lot that was going on in this book that I did not care for at all. And then when they get back, like with what I was saying before, with I think what was going on with the HR thing, like there's no talking about HR before, but when they get back and they decide they're going to be a couple, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to talk to HR about this," because Aaron was just promoted to being manager for the team, and she's having a complete meltdown of, "Oh my God, I like him, but I don't know if he really likes me." That's the whole thing with this whole dang wedding, is we're stuck inside Catalina's head the entire time. And it's just listening to her, thinking to herself this entire time about, "Oh no, Aaron couldn't possibly like me. Oh no, what? We can't do this because he's going to be my boss." And I am glad that she didn't do the really annoying thing where there's a miscommunication. Yes, there is a big blow up at the end, naturally, but not as bad as some other books that I've read in the past. I'm just saying that is a one positive with this situation. But just everything that was going on in the book just seemed really weird, because by the end of the book, they're talking about going to HR, and then the guy that's being a complete creep at the beginning, Gerald, he goes up to her and her best friend, and it's in the lunchroom area where other people can hear. And he makes another really bad sexist tone about going clothes shopping and being women and being able to plan the event because they're women. And it's not until that point that people start to complain about this. And Catalina is actually called into the HR office because people are wanting to step up for her, and they're wanting to make these complaints, but it has to come from Catalina herself. And it's just like, why didn't she do this before? And like, the author kind of mentions it in the book of, yeah, I know I should have been thinking about this before. I should have been doing this on my own, but it just really bothered me. Like, she's an engineer in an office in New York City. Like, I don't know. Like it's you would think that there would be some more notes going on in that head of, yeah, this is a sexist situation. We should be, and especially with that blatantness and the fact that none of it had to be other people, not just the teen leads, who were wanting to go to HR. And that's the thing that really just bugged me about this book, is that it took the end of the book and they were admitting, like, yeah, we think Gerald is basically untouchable, but if enough people complain, then we can light fires under upper management in order to get them to get Gerald out of here, but we can have enough complaints. And it's the fact that she didn't even go to HR had to bring her in. I realize I'm talking a lot about this, and I apologize. It's just something that just really got under my skin with this. Now, the wedding and the events with all of that was fun. That was cute. We had a lot of really cute moments where people in the family were talking to her, and I was kind of expecting, because a lot of the reason why she was wanting a fake date anyway is because she had an affair with her professor, who's her ex-boyfriend, when she was done with the class. And then because people found out she was dating her professor, there was this great big smear campaign that was going on that was threatening to basically ruin her, and then the family was looking at her with pity eyes. Now, I was thinking there may be some sort of big family talking moment where they're going to have a big discussion about how this has really affected Catalina and her views of herself. But there's really nothing like that. It's just a man fixes everything. That's basically the gist of this entire book. I am glad, though, that at least he didn't come in and fix things with the whole HR situation. I was kind of expecting Aaron to be the one to have done that, but no, it was other people, which is a small bonus point. But it really seemed like a lot of man on a white horse coming in to save the day stuff that was going on here. And like Aaron was threatening to punch Gerald in the face, and we're expected to think that this is all, ooh, this is all fantastic. Like, I don't know, it just really seemed like there were two books in one, and then the whole wedding thing won out. Like, I would have liked to see a bit more discussions about planning this day, just more, like, not the going into the weed situation of planning it out, but I kind of would have liked to have seen a bit more of that first with that enemies to lovers situation. Like, they really weren't even enemies. It seemed like it was really all in Catalina's head. And that's the other thing. She never has a discussion with him on why he was being such an asshole to her for the past year. No talking to him about all of this, and we're just expected to just be, okay, he's been acting this way just to be close to her because he realized he messed up, but there was no conversations that happened about his actions at the office. And it just, I don't like it in this book, and we're stuck in her head, and we're slowly starting to realize that, oh, Aaron is actually a good guy, but he doesn't show anything like that at the office. And I get it. It makes sense that Aaron is really wanting to put his best foot forward with everything. I understand that. But I wish that there was a conversation that happened. Like, I wish that there were more conversations that were going on in this book than what actually happened. Like, we know that her family loves her. They just want to see her happy. But there was really no, I am hurt and I don't like the way that you guys have been looking at me and worrying that I'm going to wind up alone. But now all of a sudden you're feeling better because I brought a man who is my fake date. Like, I was actually surprised that there really wasn't any sort of big reveal on the fact that he is her fake date, you know, like the usual trope that happens. So that is a plus. They never found out, and that is a good thing there. It's just some of the other things that were going on in the book that I did not care for, as I've mentioned a billion times now. So thank you for listening, and a big thank you to all you beautiful cuddlebugs for joining me on this literary escapade. Until next time, keep snuggling with those books and spreading the cozy vibes. Happy reading, my beautiful cuddlebugs, and I'll talk to you next time.